Welcome to the One Chance Coaching Podcast. My name's Claire and I'm going to be chatting to you today. Please be aware that this is just my advice from me to you. I am not a doctor, though I do have a life coaching qualification as a level 3 diploma, and I'm working on my nutrition and health diploma as well. Good morning. How are you doing today? Happy Monday. I hope you are well. It is cold and damp and miserable, frankly, outside. I have come to the conclusion in the last couple of days that November sucks. Most people think of January as being the worst month of the year. I wholeheartedly disagree. January is fabulous. It's obviously a little bit cold and horrible, but that's the UK. If you want not cold and horrible, we're living in the wrong place. Bear with me. It's not a great start, is it? November is just, it's full of no, isn't it? There's no sun. There's no, bright days. There's no light. There's no excitement. It's just no. It's just November and it sucks. So it's an easy month to fall into bad habits, I think, and an easy month to think, well, I'll leave it. Now, how many of us on a fat loss journey have waited until January the 1st? Hands up. My hand is very much up. Yes, I have done it. In fact, I've done it every year. There's no point in doing it now. I might as well just enjoy Christmas and worry about the weight afterwards. Now, when did enjoying Christmas and eating like you've never eaten before or you've been starved, when did those two things become mutually connected? I don't really understand how this happened. But in our head, we can't enjoy it unless we're stuffing our face in, quite frankly, an appalling way. And I have had somebody in the last couple of days say that to me. Oh, well, you're not going to track over Christmas, are you? You're not going to keep dieting over Christmas. I'm like, well, firstly, I don't really consider myself to be on a diet. This is a lifestyle change for me. And as trite as that sounds, I really, really wholeheartedly believe that it has to be forever. So I don't consider myself to be on a diet per se. I'm actively trying to lose fat, yes, but on a diet, I'm getting rid of that. I'm just binning it. I don't want that phrase anymore in my life. I don't think anything good comes from it. I don't think that a decent and a positive, healthy mindset comes from being on a diet, in air quotes. And yes, actually, I am going to continue to be careful over Christmas. Am I going to weigh out my Christmas dinner? No, I'm not. But I wouldn't judge anyone that wanted to, because frankly, if that's what you need to do to feel content and to feel in control and to feel happy, then great, then you go for it. But the person that said this to me, you're not going to track over Christmas, said, I just don't want you to be miserable. And I'm like, do I look miserable? I mean, today's not a great example. I do probably look quite miserable today. I've had a bit of a weekend and I'm very tired and I'm a bit run down and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I'm not miserable. I'm the happiest and the most content I have been in a very, very long time. And that is because I've been keeping an eye on what I'm eating. And because of keeping an eye on what I'm eating, I've lost the weight and I'm very, very confident that I'm going to keep it off for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for the end of a diet. For the first time in my life, I realise it is forever and I'm fine with it. It's not, oh my God, I've got to do this forever. It's okay, I've got to do this forever. That's fine. If that means I can wear size 10 jeans, then I'm going to do it forever. Fantastic. If that means I'm not crying in changing rooms, fantastic. If that means I have ultimate food freedom to make the choices that I want and the ones that fuel me and keep me feeling great and energised and well, then fantastic. I'll do it forever. And that is 100% what I need to remind myself all the time, is that when I wasn't, and when I was knee and arse deep in bloody Quality Street 3 days into December, because the Quality Street gets opened on the 1st of December, it's not going to be this year. I'm going to wait a little bit. Because do you know what? I refilled the damn Quality Street at least 3-4 times on the run up to Christmas so that we actually had some on Christmas Day. Madness. Okay, so what I'm really talking about this week is the waiting game. And it is not something that we are very good at. And it is something that we are getting as a society worse at. is waiting for anything. Now, we live in a society nowadays whereby you can have anything you want immediately. You don't even have to wait for your Tesco now. What have they got? I don't even know what it's called, because where I live, we don't have any of these things. We don't even have Just Eat where we are. I think there's like 2 places that deliver to us, which from my point of view is fantastic, because it means I've got to go and get it. And if I've got to go and get a Chinese, I ain't going to go and get one, because that's not going to happen. I don't like waiting in those places. So yeah, the fact that it can be delivered to your door, the fact that we've got Amazon Prime and it can be delivered the next day, or in some places in the country the same day, the same that we've now got Tisco Whoosh, I think it is, where you can do it and they'll deliver it the next hour. Like, we have become very impatient and frankly intolerable kind of people now. We don't want to wait for anything. We want instant results. We want the thing. And I talked about this last week. We want the coffee that's going to make us skinny, and we want the pill that's going to make us not eat. Before I started Team RH, in the last 12 months, I used the following phrase, and I said this to somebody. If I could take a pill every day that would make me not need to eat, I would do it. I genuinely said that less than 12 months ago, because I was so frustrated and so desperate and so sick of the back and forth and the yo-yo dieting that I would have said to somebody, do you know what? Yeah, I'll just never eat again. If somebody had literally on the day offered me, this is a pill that you take every day and you'll never feel hungry and you'll be completely nutritionally balanced, do you want it? I would have said yes. And now I look at that and I think, oh my God, that was less than 12 months ago. That's how bad my mindset was. And that's how much my mindset has changed. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that I have become okay with waiting. I have become okay with holding off and realising that it is the long haul. All the way through this weight loss journey that I have done, I have been on a quest for knowledge. And my quest for knowledge has taken me in lots of different places. Last year, or this year actually, so it's only this year. Let me have a look at my certificate. I don't think it's got a date on it. But this year I did my life coaching qualification and my level 3 diploma, and I loved it. I've also just about finished my nutrition course now. I have one more module left to go on that. I have followed people that have inspired me online. Bear with me. This is because I'm really tired. Sorry, let me have a slurp of coffee. I try not to do that in the mic because I know it icks a lot of people out. I followed a lot of people that have really inspired me, and I have unfollowed people as well. Now, there are several people that I've unfollowed, not because I don't like them, and not because I don't find their stuff interesting, or whatever, but I'm done with being influenced in certain ways. Yesterday, I sat down and looked at my budget. This is just an aside. I looked at my budget and decided that if I could put as much effort into my budget as I do into my calorie expenditure, so my actual physical monetary expenditure, and looked at it the same way as I do my calorie, it's basically the same thing. I was overeating and I'm overspending. I'm being easily influenced to buy things, and advertising is an incredible tool. Advertising, whether it's advertising fat loss products or weight loss products or magic pills or apple cider gummies or going to the other side of things, are lifestyle choices. Then you've got to have this thing. All advertising does is create a problem you didn't know you had. Right? So it'll go, oh, this is the thing, this is the answer, this is the product you need. And you'll go, oh my God, I really do need that. That really would make my life better. And if we look around our houses, and particularly around drawers and cupboards, we will find them stuffed to the brim with things that we thought we needed. Things that were a problem in our life that actually, before we saw that advert, weren't a problem. But because I can get that tomorrow if I order it now. We don't have to wait. We don't have to give anything any consideration. And actually, you can put the two together. So overspending and overeating can be very, very linked, intrinsically linked together. Whereas if you had to wait to make that decision, and this is something that budgeting specialists will tell you all the time, before you click buy now, leave it a day, leave it a week if you can, then come back to it, stick it in the basket if you want to, and then really think about whether or not you actually want that thing. Or 2 weeks from now, are you going to want your money back? And I look at that the same way with my calorie expenditure. If I eat that 4-finger Kit Kat or that Mars bar, there's nothing wrong with eating that. There's no good food, no bad food. The food is not demonised. If I want a Kit Kat, I can have a Kit Kat. Might just be worth just bearing in mind that later on in the day, am I going to wish I had those calories? Am I this evening going to think, I really fancy a hot chocolate now, but I've had all my calories now, so I'm going to have to not. My tiredness played a game with me yesterday whereby all day I was fighting the want for carbs and sugar because I was exhausted and I'd had 4 hours sleep. And on that 4 hours sleep, I had a to-do list as long as my arm because it's coming up to that time of year for me, a very, very busy time, and I have a lot to do. So yeah, waiting is something that we have come to be very, very bad at as people. We are not good at holding off for people. And the younger you are, the worse you are at waiting. And I can guarantee that because us people that are in our 40s and 50s and 60s remember a time when you had to wait. I remember a time where I had to wait every Friday night to watch the next episode of Friends. If you're younger, if you're a millennial or younger, you didn't have to do that. It was just there on stream, yeah? And we get very annoyed now when we have to wait for things. We're like, oh, well, I'm sure a lot of us will have binged the first 3 or 4 episodes of The Crown and go, well, I want the next one now. Whereas I'm eking them out. I'm doing one a week so that by the time I get to the last one, the next one will be released. So rushing doesn't help anything, okay? And so particularly with fat loss, rushing leads to disappointment and letdown and low self-esteem, and it could potentially even malnutrition. And people think of malnourished people as being emaciated. Well, that is not always the case. There are plenty of overweight people and obese people that are malnourished, and that is because they've decided to cut out an entire food group, or they have decided to, do extended fasts and things like that, where they go, I'm going to do a 36-hour fast with no medical help or anything like that. I'm just going to do a 36-hour fast. Or they find themselves, like cutting out, like I say, an entire food group and realising, I haven't had any carbs for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a year, whatever. Long-term goals, it's got to be sustainable, and we've got to be okay with it taking a bit of time. Now, you might have heard of SMART goals. This is something that a lot of coaches talk about. It's sort of quite widely recognised. Now, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and in a time frame. So timed, I use the word timed. So with your fat loss journey, you can look at that in that way. It has to be specific, okay? You can't go, well, I want to lose a little bit. I don't think you have to have a goal weight at the end of it. I think that particularly if you're very heavy and you have a long way to go, sometimes having an end goal is completely unrealistic. I have an end goal of 160 pounds. I'm 5 pounds away from that at the moment. But when I get to 160, if I'm not 100% happy with where I am, or at least 99, because let's face it, we're never 100% happy with anything, then I may adjust that goal. But I want to get to 160. That's roughly where I want to be. So set yourself a specific goal, and it doesn't have to be your final one. Okay, so if you have got 10 stone to lose, then don't think I've got 10 stone to lose, okay? I'm going to come back to that. It has to be measurable, okay? So you're going to use your scales, you're going to use tape measures, you're going to use your favourite jeans, you're going to use whatever it is you need to measure that progress, okay? I personally use the Renpho scales. That is RENPHO, Renpho scales. They are absolutely fantastic because they give you more than just one number. They will give you your body fat, they will give you your water, your protein, your muscle mass, your bone density. All that stuff is included. And that makes the weeks where you do not see the numbers that you want on the main scale, as in your weight, you can sometimes see why. You can see that you've had a muscle mass gain, or you can see that your water has gone up. If you go to renpho.co.uk, you can get 10% off a Renpho scale by using the code Claire10, and that's just a little gift from me to you. So if you decide that you want to up your scale game and get yourself a pair that does more than just a dial number or a digital number, because you need a little bit more measurable help, then go and get yourself some Renpho scales. They're not massively expensive, and you can get 10% off. That's Claire10, all in capitals. And then 10 is numbers, okay? So CLAIRE 10. The next one, so specific, measurable, attainable. Make sure that it's attainable. Make sure it's something that you can actually achieve. And you can achieve anything you want to if you put your mind to it, okay? But the next one, realistic, okay? Don't think to yourself, I've got 10 stone to lose and I'm going to do that in the next month, because you know you're not. The only way you could lose 10 stone in a month is maybe to, I don't know, eat your partner or break up with somebody who weighs 10 stone. You can't do it in that way. It's got to be attainable. and it's got to be realistic. And the third thing is timed. Now, this is the one that's a little bit sketchy when it comes to weight loss, because I don't necessarily think that that is correct. I don't necessarily think that you can say to yourself, I've got to do this in a year. But if you give yourself a year, if you're with Team RH, you sign up for that year. Now, from my point of view, that year is going to be broken into two halves, okay? So I'm going to have 6 months where I think I am going to be at my goal weight. I'd like to be there in that 6 months. I'm 5 months in now. I should be able to do that last £5 in a month, I'm hoping. Although, mind you, the rate is going, it may be not. But that's fine. But then the next 6 months, I'm going to use to learn about the maintenance side of things. And then that is where I'm going to help you guys. So those of you that are at the end of your fat loss journey, or those of you that are already at goal, and you are struggling with the maintenance phase, that is where I'm going to push all that information onto you. When I'm going to learn all about that. And I can't bloody wait. I'm so excited. So those are your SMART goals. They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timeable, okay, timed. So weight loss, sustainable, steady fat loss, weight loss takes time. You have to go down the tortoise and the hare route, okay? If you're going to do it fast, like I say, you're going to be disappointed, you're going to feel like crap, and you could potentially end up malnourished. And lacking in essential nutrients. And the more of those you're missing, the shitter you're going to feel in the long run, okay? If you decide to cut all carbs out of your diet, you might find yourself looking for sugar for energy instead. Don't pay too much attention to insulin and blood sugar and all these things. The only way you really need to focus on that is if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, either type 1 or type 2. And that, go and listen to Kelly, Mind Fuel Diaries, if you're into a podcast, because she goes into that more, because she is a type 1 diabetic. We put on our weight slowly. We don't suddenly wake up one day 5 stone overweight, do we? We don't go to bed one night skinny and wake up the next day and go, shit, what happened? Okay, because we put on this weight very gradually. You all know what it's like. When you see people that you haven't seen for a very long time, you can notice these things, okay? I saw somebody the other day who I haven't seen in 6 months. Love her to bits, and we catch up twice a year, and we have a lovely old coffee, and we have a good old rant. And she was actually my Weight Watchers leader when I lost all my weight. So I know her very well, and we've been through it together. Now, she's very into clean eating. She grows a lot of her own fruit and veg and all this sort of stuff. And we have differing views on things, and that's absolutely fine. I respect hers, she respects mine. But we always love to laugh about, the Weight Watchers days and how we were so into it and we really believed it. And actually, it turned out that both of us had found a way of getting our weight under control that bared no resemblance to anything we were ever taught. And she was a Weight Watchers leader. And she said to me the other day, I used to stand there and cringe at some of the things that we were told to say. And I love that. I would absolutely love to interview some ex-Slimming World and Weight Watchers leaders. Would love to interview them on the podcast and find the ins and outs, people that don't do it anymore. If you are one of those, please, please, please get in contact with me. onechancecoaching@gmail.com. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about what it is you're told and what it is that, they tell you to say to people. That, because I would love to know. I'd love to go undercover and become a Slimming World leader and go in and get all the inside scoop. But there's probably something you have to sign to say you're not going to do that. And frankly, I haven't got the time. We put on the weight slowly. So why do we expect to lose it fast? And I get it. We all will just want to click. And if we could all wave a magic wand, I always used to say if I could have one wish in the world, it would be never to worry about food again. And I probably still would. But I don't think that that's possible for anyone. You get these people that go, they're naturally skinny, but you'll still see them in at McDonald's, won't you? You'll still see them going out for breakfast and drinking and having fun. It's just that they haven't struggled with it in the same way. And that's all down to mindset at the end of the day. It all starts in the brain. We're not used to waiting. We're just not used to it. But sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. They just are. So cast your mind back to when you saved up for something as a kid. Did you save up your pennies as a child and think, I'm going to have that thing and I'm going to save my weekly 50p or whatever it was? I'm probably really showing my age now and I don't care. I've never hidden my age. I'm 47. And I remember saving up pocket money. And I remember going to the local sweet shop and spending it on sweets. But weirdly, didn't put on the weight then because I had to bike a mile to the local sweet shop. So I'd buy my 3-penny chews or whatever and have them and then bike back. By the time I got back, I'd burnt those bloody things off. It was when we started driving and became less used to walking around and less used to getting on our bike. I biked everywhere as a kid. And it wasn't until I stopped doing that in my late teens and got a car and all that sort of stuff that I realised just how sedentary I'd become. So, but saving up for something, even as an adult, you think, do you know what, I want that thing, whatever it is. Let's just say you want to buy yourself the latest Dyson Hoover. I love cleaning. So that was the first thing that came to mind. Now, those things are bloody pricey. Whatever it is, you want a Barber jacket, you want a new car. And you think, I'm going to save up. How many people now own their cars? There's so many people don't own their cars. I drive a 9-year-old car, but it's mine. I don't owe anything on it. It doesn't belong to anyone but me, and it's mine. And I don't have to worry about lease agreements and spending £200 a month on my car. So, but when you really do and you save up for something and then you go out and buy that thing, and the saving up is the beautiful part, isn't it? Because that's giving you that delayed wait, the delayed gratification, and by the time you buy the thing, you've had all that time to think about whether you still really, really want it. And then weirdly, when you've saved up all that money, you then look at it and think, do I want to spend that money? It's like people that save an emergency fund and then they have to use it and they're gutted that they have to use it, but it's okay to use it. That's what it was there for. So, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Waiting and playing the long game and sticking to your calories and your fibre and your carbs and your sugar. And if you follow that stuff, I don't. I just do carbs. I don't do carbs, sorry. I do protein. I do my steps. I do my water. I do my fibre. Those are the things with Team RH that you've got to make sure that you're getting, and your calories. And then at the end of that, 6 months down the line, you see the results. Now, I struggle a little bit with slightly body dysmorphia thing, whereby when I look in the mirror, I don't really see the change. Okay, so photographs are really helpful for this. I found that actually looking at a photo or a video, I see it more realistically than when I look in the mirror. And the same went for when I was heavier. When I was heavier, I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't see the fat girl. And then I lost the weight and I look in the mirror and I see the fat girl. It's really odd how my brain would trick me. And it wasn't until you see photographs, and quite a lot of people will have a trigger moment where they see a photo of themselves on holiday in a bikini, or someone took a picture of them at a wedding and they look at it and go, holy shit, is that what I looked like? I thought I looked great that day. And I bet you there'll be plenty of people that can really relate to that. So yeah, I think it's just about accepting that it's going to take time. And if it takes time, sometimes the longer the better, because that means that weight is coming off very slowly. And it means that the slower it is, the less likely it is to impact your day-to-day life. If you are only in a 500 calorie deficit a day, you're going to lose roughly £1 a week, because 7 lots of your 500 calories is 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is a pound of fat. So that's basically how it works. But if you're only losing, that 500 calories a day, that means you can still have your chocolate. That means you can still have a pizza from now and then. It means you can still average it out over the week and go, do you know what? Yeah, it's fine. Over the week, I might have overate on Saturday, but because I jumped straight back on the horse on the Sunday, I'm still in my deficit. Is it as big as it would have been had I not gone over on Saturday? No. Will I still lose? Yes. Yeah, and you might not lose the number, and this is where the Renfo scales come in. You might not lose on the number, but you will have lost on the fat. But because you've had a really carb-heavy pizza or something like that, you're retaining water. Okay, so slow and steady wins the race. Where is the rush? The more of a rush you are in, the more miserable the process will be. The more miserable the process is, the more likely you are not to stick to it. So learn about nutrition. Embrace the facts, not the fads. I will say this in every podcast, I think. Embrace the facts, not the fads. Learn about nutrition. Take it upon yourself to educate yourself. And then you will find the more you know, the more you talk about it with other people. And they'll go, oh, I've had this many sins. And you will have to bite your tongue not to go, sins are bullshit. Stop doing this to yourself. You don't need to be miserable. And I really, really struggle with the fact that I want to tell everyone that, and I won't. If people are saying, oh, I'm on Slimming World, I'm like, lovely, good luck. There are other ways, but good luck. In fact, I wouldn't even say that. If people ask me how I've lost the weight, I will tell them. And I'm happy to talk about it. Very clearly, I'm doing a podcast. So, I have to remind myself I was over 20 stone at one point. I'm now 11 stone 10, I think. I do it in pounds now. I find it less scary a number. So when I was 20 stone, the prospect of losing 8.5 stone was absolutely crazy to me. So break it down into small goals. Break it down into £5 increments if you want. Or if you're doing kilos, do it in 1 kilo inch. And every time you do that, celebrate that win. Yes, celebrate the small wins. Don't look at the whole thing, because the whole thing is overwhelming and it is scary. And you think to yourself, it can't be done. And when I look at what I've lost now, which is over 8 stone, that's like lugging a person around on my back every day. And am I perfect? Absolutely fucking not. And am I expecting to remain perfect? Absolutely fucking not. Am I going to put the weight on again? Absolutely fucking not. It will not happen. I am not going to let myself. And if that means I have to be quite strict, then fine. Because the bottom line is, a strict me now is happier than a very lax me at 20 stone. And I'm looking at my future and my health and my happiness in the long term, and providing and being there for my family, and making sure that as my mother gets older and she ages, I am damn well there to look after her, because she's freaking awesome. And Mum, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry that I swear so much. It's not your fault. I'm going to blame Andrew. That's my brother. I'm not really, but I am quite sweary. I do apologise, but I know when to do it and when not to. It's not like I go up to people going, all right, you wanker. I don't do that. I'm very professional when I need to be. But yeah, I want to be there for her. I want to make sure that I am fit and happy and healthy enough to look after her as she gets older and she's going to need more help. And I want to set a good example to my daughter. And I want to be a decent wife, and I want to be able to do my job for as long as possible. These are all little bits of my why. The why is the biggest thing. And one day I'm just going to do a whole podcast on the why. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's why did you start? Why do you want it? And that is actually a much, much deeper question than I can fit in the next 20 seconds or so of this podcast. I really hope that helps. Look at those SMART goals again, okay? Make sure that you are following something that you can manage. So just to go over those again: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timed, okay? All of those things should factor in. Obviously, timed is a little bit more wishy-washy when it comes to fat loss. Follow the 10-year rule. The 10-year rule is, whatever you're doing on your weight loss, if you can't see yourself still doing that in 10 years' time, at a minimum, you shouldn't be doing it on the downward trend. Okay, so don't cut out carbs thinking, well, I'm going to start eating carbs the minute I lose all my weight, because that's when you're going to spiral and things will go wrong. So make sure that it's measurable. Make sure that if you have got Quality Street coming into the house in the next few days, you know that you can have a couple a day and that's fine, but don't go face first into it, because that's a rabbit hole you don't want to fall down. Okay, nothing good can come from that. Not that there's anything wrong with the chocolate, but you'll rack through those calories very quickly. Again, start thinking about it in a likeness to cash. It really, really helps. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. Happy Monday to you. I'm going to get these uploaded now, and I will catch up with you very, very, very soon. Take care. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give me a little rate and review. That would be amazing. You can also, if you're listening from Spotify, share straight to your stories. If you've enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it. Let's get some reviews going. That'd be amazing. Take care.